Okay, the next item on our agenda is communications, but no one signed up. So we will move on to superintendent's recommendations and reports. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Birding. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Martin to cover the items listed under Personnel Professional.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Birding and members of the board, I have several items for your consideration this evening under Personnel Professional. Item number 1, resignation, letter A. Item number 2, employment. Letter A is extracurriculars for the 2021 school year, and letter B is a home instructor for the current school year as well. That concludes the items I have for your consideration under Personnel Professional.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. At this time, I will entertain a motion to accept those recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
I heard Mr. Begley and Mrs. Shorter. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay, Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundram?
Yes.
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mr. Birding?
Yes, motion passes.
This time, I'd like to ask Mr. Penny to cover the items listed under Personnel Support.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Birding, members of the board, I have the following items for your consideration this evening under personnel support. Under item number 1, unpaid leaves of absence, letters A and B. Under item number 2, employment, letters A and B. This concludes the items I have for your consideration this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Penny. This time, I'll entertain a motion to accept those recommendations.
So moved.
Second.
I heard Mr. Clark and Mrs. Gundram. Any questions or comments? Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Clark?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundram?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mr. Birding?
Yes, motion passes.